it's Andre, and I got to see an advanced screening of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I saw that the embargo has officially lifted for reviews. So I'm going to talk about the movie, just give you my general thoughts about the movie. Not going to get too detailed in plot, and I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. I just want to be respectful and not tell you too much because the movie doesn't even come out until September. But if you want to know some basic stuff, I got you. Dude, the fighting sequences in this movie, the action pieces, oh my gosh, they are so cool. I mean, I know some people get real nitpicky about fighting scenes, especially how many cuts or close-ups it has. I don't know about all that stuff. I just know that what I was seeing, I was really enjoying. It was so good. Man, oh, it was cool. There were definitely a couple of scenes where they would try to keep the fight as extended as possible, keep the camera on whoever was fighting, or keep a long one-take sequence, even if it was done with camera tricks or special effects. Yeah, dude, there's this one fight scene that like keeps going and going, and I was like, okay, this is freaking awesome. I love this. I know they probably did some kind of magic to make it seem like it was this long take. I don't care. It looked cool. I was like, this is nice. I like this. And there's one fighting scene in this movie that messed with my head because it played with one of my fears, and I'm just like, ah. Even when they have to use CG as part of the fights for some of the more mystical, magical elements of this movie, I like that they still were like, let's still keep that fighting looking strong. I could tell that this movie was trying to emphasize how much went into the fight choreography of this, and I really appreciate that. I thought it was some really cool fighting sequences in this. The 10 rings are really cool. Like, they just kind of give you extra power, make you more invincible. The way that they're on the arm, the way they can fly off the arm, the way that you can control them is just really cool. And a couple times, maybe think of Sonic the Hedgehog. Shang-Chi, Simu Liu is good in this. A lot of the supporting characters are good in this. I actually dug Awkwafina in this. I feel like she was playing a character and wasn't just there to be like, just do a bunch of jokes. I mean, there's some comedy in there, but I feel like everyone was playing really strong characters. But my favorite by far is Tony Leung as Shang-Chi's dad. It's as much his story as it is Shang-Chi's. You get to see a history of what's going on in his life. Shows why he was the way that he was to his son, even though a lot of those ways were not right. You see this as a character going through a lot of different personal emotions and a personal journey. That's why he does some of the things that he does in this movie. Makes for a very complicated character, and I really appreciate it. And his performance was so good. Even when he's not talking, when he's just looking at you with his eyes, it's just like, that's good. But of course, this is the introduction to Shang-Chi, and he holds his own in this. He's serious sometimes, he's funny other times, and because of the relationship with his father, you learn some things about him. There's a couple of surprises about his character that I was like, oh. And obviously the Asian and Asian American representation in this movie is very strong, but what I particularly like about it is that they just kind of show it as slice of life. You get to see them hanging out with their friends, hanging out with their family, and the reason why I like that, because there were some things that they were doing in their family or with their friends, I was like, oh, hey, I do that too, or hey, I recognize that as well. I just always love that when someone can show a part of their culture, and then by just showing it naturally, you can start to see the similarities with what you grew up with. There were some characters in this movie that I was like, oh, they're gonna probably be in one scene or two. And I was like, oh, you're still in the movie, or you keep popping up in the movie. And then there's a character in this movie that I thought was gonna be a really big deal, and they were like, nah, not so much. I thought the whole movie was entertaining to watch, but that first half, something about its style, its pacing, the dialogue, it just seemed to have some creativity to it and had a lot of energy to it, a lot of charm to it. And even though I knew it was a Marvel movie, I could feel that like, oh, let's try some different things, particularly because this is the origin story. It's like, okay, I'm seeing you trying to do something different than the typical origin story with this. And I like that. I feel like it was doing something that felt a little genuine. When it gets more into like, here's the plot, particularly the how we gotta save the day type plot, it gets a little bit more bogged into that plot than the characteristics that we were seeing early on. The trailers have actually been hiding a good amount of what's in this movie, so very impressive marketing team. You probably might see more of it pop up as they do more ads for this movie leading up to its release, but so far, there's some stuff in here that I was like, oh, that's in the movie too? Okay. Yeah, some of this stuff is gonna get spoiled if you don't see it right away. It's unfortunate. But that's the world we live in right now. Things getting out earlier than they're supposed to. I don't know. That seems like a thing that happens from time to time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then when we get to the third act, I mean, they showed a couple of scenes in the trailer, but there is more. Like a lot more. I was like, okay, was not expecting all of that. It's fine, it's fun, but it definitely falls into that typical Marvel Studios third act. The rest of the movie I felt was doing something that felt a little unique to itself. There's a really cool thing that happens in that I was like, that is freaking cool. I love that. Please can that come back in future movies? I think the thing I'm talking about has toys or Funko Pops out there, so you know, it's not a secret. I like that. That's good. It has an ending that I actually found pretty hilarious. And of course, stay after the credits. You know how it goes with these Marvel movies. Stay during the credits, stay after the credits, just in case. So overall, I like the movie. I was entertained by this. I like this. Good movie. Also a good way to introduce a new character to the MCU and maybe even drop in some hints of some things that we might see in the future. If you've seen all the other Marvel movies, then obviously it's another fun Marvel movie to see. I did enjoy this movie and I would definitely see it again. But the real question is, will people go to the theaters to see it? Because unlike Black Widow, they're not going to do the $30 Disney Plus add-on with this one. Let me know if you're going to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and let me know if you're going to see it in theaters or if you're going to wait until it comes out on digital. And speaking of superheroes, in my last video, I watched every episode of Static Shock and talked about that series. Check that out in case you missed it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Maddie 5000.